The Substance. That's right, folks. This is a newly released film that's coming to cinemas on a wide enough scale. It's kind of limited release, but it's going to a lot of places from Mubi. And Mubi's fun. I've talked about Mubi before. They're an interesting little curated streaming service for different types of movies that show off work from different types of filmmakers. They had a film playing at Cannes this year called The Substance. Got a lot of good buzz over there. It won the Best Screenplay Award at Cannes, so I'm like, hey, I'm in for that. I really like Demi Moore. I think she's really interesting. I'd like to see her in stuff. And she's leading a weird movie that people are saying is a really good body horror depiction of what it means to be an aging woman. And I'm like, that's literally built for me. I like Mubi. I like Demi Moore. I like body horror stuff. I want to see that, you know? So this was one always on my radar. Every single festival it came out of, every single review I saw, this sounded awesome. This sounded like something I wanted to see and I had to have in my life. Now, the director is Coralie Fargeat. I am not too familiar with her work. And I don't think she's done a lot of big productions before this either. She's definitely going to get a lot more opportunities now, which is really cool to see as well. This film is amazing. And you're going to hear a lot of critics say that. Me saying it's amazing isn't going to be going against the norm or anything. It's an incredible film that does everything right it needs to do, is fully aware of what it's trying to say. And that's one of my favorite parts about this movie. A film I think is near flawless in its execution. It knows what it's trying to say, and it's beating you over the head with that message. It is overtly telling you everything it's doing. Subtlety is good sometimes. Other times, who needs to be subtle? Just say your thing. Just talk about it. Talk about how beauty standards are impossible. The idea of getting older and aging and your body failing is terrifying and becomes its own horror story. Or just how an industry hates women who get older. When you're saying all those things, there is something really interesting to explore. And doing it in a very specific lens, that's interesting too. There's so much interesting stuff going on here. I was okay, this reminds me of a few things. All About Eve was a big one for me when I'm watching this. I went, okay, yeah, I see the story we're going for here. Somebody who had it all, falling out of favor with the industry in some capacity. And this new version of them, of a younger version of them, stepping up to take that mantle in place of them. Very All About Eve, which is a story Hollywood loves to tell, and I love to see it. It's got some nutty professor / Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde vibes, as well as the other personality of you taking over you and doing that thing in place of you. A concept we've seen numerous times in science fiction and horror, and this one leans more into the horror side of things. But don't be alarmed, it does get a little silly and perfunctory where you're whoa, okay, that's crazy, and you're doing some crazy shit there. Insane. I have been describing this movie to people as a film that starts at a 10. It's at that perfect level. If you get rid of the other elements it's building towards, it is still working perfectly. The cinematography is brilliant. The camera work is brilliant. The script is brilliant. The lighting is brilliant. The colors, the costuming, every aspect of this thing is brilliant. The editing and sound mixing is superb. I don't like something where there's a million cuts in a 1 minute scene where we cut 15 different times in that 1 minute. So to do that effectively, where we have to have close-ups of everything, showing you what this hand is doing, what's being touched in this position, what are the small items that we're either eating or playing with or just moving around us, to make that work and look good. And have the perfect blend of mixing the small quick cuts with the sound of what we're doing with them. That's hard to do. This movie does it really well. It makes it work perfectly, and I appreciate that. So everything about this movie just already is working so well. It's telling its story perfectly. This is a woman. Demi Moore plays this older woman who is very prominent. She has a star on the Walk of Fame. I think they say she won an Oscar too. And now she's reduced to this on-demand home video workout system thing. She wants to better herself, but the network's we don't really want to work with you. So she gets submitted and becomes a candidate for this new thing called The Substance. And you take this substance and it creates the better version of you, or a different version of you that's healthier, younger, in better shape, just prettier in all aspects. And that will take your place. And it's kind of like a switch off thing. You have to have both of them operating at like a certain level. So if one goes longer than it should, it's not going to be healthy. You have to have the proper split off. We're not going to get into like the specifics of what that means. Just know that when a story sets up like very crucial details like that, it does pay them off. So she does that, and she births from herself a younger, hotter version in the form of Margaret Qualley. So she kind of takes over in her position. And then from there, it's like, here's some good techno music. Here's some really good vibes. People in like tight yoga pants and butts and sweating. It does that perfectly. It also reminds me of one of my favorite shows from Apple TV, which is a show called Physical, which is Rose Byrne doing like the birth of the aerobics era and just like that aesthetic. But how do you make that modern? It's sexy. It's weird music video stuff. It looks incredible. That goes into like the quick edits I'm talking about too, where we're like quick on a shot going from here to here to here to here. Quick shot of like a butt, and then like doing the splits, and then like people just flipping their hair back and sweating. So much of that is just in like that. How do we go from this is an older performer who used to be something in Demi Moore, and show you like, well, there's like a style to what she's doing. It's a little like out of touch, and there's still some respect there. And then when you get the Qualley character to come in, she's just like, boom, I'm sexy, I'm hot, I'm going to do that on camera. And the way it goes to the quick cuts that way compared to what they're doing with Moore is incredible. It's a 10. And then as the story progresses, things happen that take it to an 11. And you're like, oh shit, we're going up from perfect. We're going higher. How can we go higher? Like, this is the highest it can go. And then from there, it goes to like a 12, and it just keeps going up. And you're like, how are you escalating the tension and the story beats and the character beats so fast and so well in the limited time we have left in this movie? The back half of this movie goes so quick, and you're like, these feel like natural points where it could end, but then it escalates and it keeps escalating. And you're like, how are you escalating? And I still feel the tension and doesn't come across as like annoying. That's impressive. That's the power of a good script and a director who's very capable of what they're doing, and it just blends together so well. I really like that. Demi Moore, incredible actor who's kind of been out of favor with the industry at the moment, hasn't really had a chance to shine in the recent era of her career. I don't know if I'd say this is like a career-defining performance, but if you look at like her trajectory through Hollywood to what this film kind of means for both the character in the movie and the actors playing it, there are some very good parallels that you can draw to that are clearly why she signed on for a project like this. There is a certain amount of vulnerability and insecurity that comes with this type of performance, and it's the type of insecurity not a lot of other actors would want to put themselves through, because there's like this, I don't think it's like an underlying current, but like a small part of this movie is just like the quiet battles we all have with ourselves about how our body is changing when we get older. And seeing that presented through this woman who was told she's a sex symbol through her whole career is really interesting to play. One of my favorite moments in this movie, not getting too deep into spoilers, is Elizabeth Sparkle, that's Demi Moore's character. She is going to go on a date with a guy who has like been obsessed with her since they were in high school together. And she feels very insecure about how she looks, so she spends like an entire hour before they're supposed to meet up redoing her makeup or just changing what she's wearing. How much does she show like on her neck and her cleavage, and then covering herself up to the point where it's breaking her apart. That is the theme of the movie. There are other things that happen in this movie that are the theme and like the message that we're trying to say here. But just the idea that you are somebody who your whole life you've been called beautiful, and then suddenly you're not that thing, you're not going to feel secure or comfortable ever again. That is what we're saying here. It's the quiet battle of yourself and seeing your body changing, going from the thing you were to the thing you are now. It's very beautiful. It's both like a universal message that everybody is aware of and understands, but solely female as well, which is very important in what this movie's trying to say. And it's also a body horror movie, so there are things that happen on screen where you're just like, okay, we're doing that. We're doing that, and Sometimes it looks kind of rubbery, sometimes it looks really good. And I am not at fault of any of those. This is a very Hollywood stylistic world. It's not meant to look realistic or like we're in like the modern times. It's kind of like the timeless modern era where everything is glitz and glamour and just a little too polished. And that's the entire point. Big hallways with bright colors, everything's going to look very shiny. And that kind of goes into the point where it's like the illusion of beauty that we have in this industry and how it affects you and morphs you until you become an old woman and you're nothing and nobody cares about you or has anything to say to you. It's pretty cool. It does have some Black Mirror elements like that, just like the idea of like the horror of what it means to do certain things. And Demi Moore just carries that performance through so much of what she's doing. And I like Margaret Qualley. I think she's a very interesting young talent who has proven herself to do some cool stuff. This is a good performance for her too, because I think it's kind of letting her like evolve to the next level of what her career could be. It's, again, I don't think it's like a career defining performance. She doesn't have that yet. When she's older and has like a movie like this to do where she's the other character, that's when we're going to see it. But it's very incredible what she is asked to do and how she handles that stuff. And for some reason, Dennis Quaid gives his best performance of the year. Sorry, Reagan heads. This is where it's at. I don't know if it's intentional or unintentional, but just plays the like pretty girls should smile more. Once you turn 50, you might as well kill yourself. Like Weinstein adjacent, like media mogul guy, very well. Just disgusting, decrepit guy. I don't know if it's intentional or he thinks this character is actually well rounded. I couldn't tell you. It could go either way for him, and I don't know if he's aware of that. But it's great. There's a scene where he's eating shrimp, and it is the most disturbing thing in this movie. And this movie gets disturbed. It goes to areas you're not expecting, and then it goes to areas higher than that you're not expecting. This is a masterpiece. Like, it is truly incredible to have every single aspect of a movie fully aware of what it wants to do and what it wants to say, and having that message be so obvious that even if you don't get what it's saying, that seems like it'd be on you, because I don't think the movie's being like unsure about it. It's more like Hollywood hates old women. It's going to treat them like monsters or outcasts. That's there from the beginning. And it's about like the price of beauty and what we're going to do to maintain that image of ourselves. And that's right there from the beginning. This is all clear. This is all stated from the literal opening shot where we see a star on the Walk of Fame and how people respect it until it starts cracking and breaking and they just walk over it. That's literally what this movie's about right there at the beginning, the opening seconds of this film. I think the substance is great. It is a smart horror movie. It is a smart like drama in some aspects. And the twists and turns it takes you down are spectacular and earned. Everything about this movie is earned. It is great and so much fun. And if it's playing in a cinema near you, it is a great movie to watch with people. That's why I'm super excited that Mubi said, let's put this in theaters. It'd be great to watch at home on your television with Mubi, but going to see this one with people. I like seeing movies by myself. I saw this movie by myself. It's one I want to show everybody. I'm like, okay, when we have the time or we're like at a party or we're doing like a big gathering or something, or just like people in my life, if we have the time for the 2 hour and 20 minutes that this is, I want to show you this because it has something interesting to say and worth talking about, and it's just fucking crazy. And that's a really good blend that is hard to pull off. I always respond to movies that are just like, I am a woman aging out of her comfort and a young thing's trying to take my place. I love that stuff. Those are some of my favorite movies. I love Sunset Boulevard. I love All About Eve. So it's classic Hollywood in that asset too, and that just makes it all the more special. This movie's great. It's awesome. The substance rocks. Like, I'm glad I saw this. Would I give Demi Moore an Academy nom? I don't know if we're there yet. There's been a lot of great performances I still haven't seen and I have seen. But this is really interesting. It is going to bring, it hopefully brings the resurgence of Demi Moore. And that's all you want. So, the substance, I am going to give a 9 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck. Remember, you are one.